It's a beautiful day outside in Las Palmas, not a cloud in the sky. I was happy to get some sunshine this morning while I was paying rent. I did pull a good April Fool's joke, El Dia de las Bromas, on one of my roommates. I live with a girl from Mexico, Noelia. She was in the kitchen having breakfast, and I went into the kitchen. I had my mask on because I was about to go to the market. And she asked me, as she typically does, hey, how are you? How was your morning? I kind of shuddered a little bit, and I said, honestly, pretty bad. She said, see? I said, see. I started to not feel well. I ended up going to the doctor last week. I didn't want to tell you guys, didn't want to worry you guys, but I gave a positive test. And I looked at her, and about 10 seconds went by. Neither of us said anything. She was processing this like, oh. And then I said, Feliz Dia de Broma, salsa. And she turned bright red and laughed, and we both had a good laugh. And of course I told her about April Fool's Day, etc., etc. And then she ended up getting me back too. So she wanted to get my assistants to shoot a video to send to her family. So she took a Tupperware container full of water and she put it up on the ceiling and asked me to hold a broom to it. And I was standing on a chair, and then she took the chair away. No, actually she didn't do that. Shoot, what did she do? Anyways, yeah, she got me back with a pretty clever joke. So I was stranded there holding Tupperware full of water with a broom handle on the ceiling. And she filmed it, and she said, Happy April Fool's Day. That was funny. I don't have any English language books with me, unfortunately. I didn't have the foresight to purchase some before El Confiniment started. But I did finish this book, Distancia de Rescate. It's from an Argentinian author. And I began this one, Gilda en los Andes. It's pretty dense. I admit that I don't understand a whole lot of it, but it's a good exercise to read more advanced language. I've more or less restricted myself to only underlining about 3 or 4 terms per page. Otherwise, I would be underlining maybe 20, 25 terms per page. Let me show you this crystal pendant that I got in the mail, if I can figure out how to get it off. I have a piece of paper with some information on it. Let me grab that. My good friend Sophie from London, she's actually now in France. She sent it to me before she left London. So it's a black tourmaline or schorl. Hope I'm saying that right. This stone is revered as a premier talisman of protection, a psychic shield deflecting and dispelling negative energies. There's a lot of information here. I won't read all of it. I admit to not knowing much about crystals. I did meet a young woman out in Hawaii before I left, and she had a crystal shop, and she was a big believer in crystals and healing energies. I do believe that there is some merit as to energy vibrations. At the very least, this is a beautiful pendant, and I wore it today. I intend to keep wearing it. Put it back on real quick. So yeah, once again, I don't want to delve too much into politics, current events. Everybody who's watching this already knows what's going on in their respective countries, other parts of the world, etc., etc. So officially, we're going to be in quarantine until April 12th. That goes for the entirety of Spain. Doesn't matter which region. Here on Gran Canaria, we're still at less than 400 cases in total, 25 deaths. I have a friend here, Christina, who works as a lawyer within the judicial system. Her connections within the government say that they're going to extend the quarantine for at least 2 weeks. So we're looking until April 30th or even May 1st. Something tells me it's going to be even longer. Take it as it comes. I read this wonderful article on the New York Times, and there's a passage I'd like to read. Naomi and Eva were introduced by Grace Paley at a reading of her work in the 1980s. They were well past middle age, long after the tragedies and social disruptions of the previous decades had touched them each with such intimacy. When catastrophe is sequential, it eventually trains its survivors to greet terror with the serenity of the enlightened. I want to reflect on that for a moment because all throughout human history, the vast majority of people have either died too young, they were at risk of dying, there was war, famine, tremendous hardships. And I wrote about this in blog post number 2 about how we've never been better equipped to fight a pandemic, and I still believe that that is true. Even if we're not reaching our full potential. This is not what we're accustomed to. There are people who are literally dying, getting very sick, losing their loved ones, losing their savings. What a time to be living through. I think it's important to look on the bright side. I know that's a cliche, but at the same time, there's a reason why cliches are cliches. There is an element of truth in them. Anyways, I've been talking a lot, talking too much. Also, while I was reading my phone, this is what I record my audio on. I set it down in a bad place, so hopefully it doesn't come out too shitty. That's all for now. Do my little salute. Hasta luego.